Hello, my name is Flory, and I'm brave now. I'm brave enough to share the story of how I escaped my abusive husband. I was forced into this marriage by my parents at the age of 20. I just finished my higher education, and then I was told you have to marry this man, even though I told them I have no attractions to him. I'm not even ready for marriage. But they were like, if you don't marry him, we're going to kill ourselves. For real. You have to marry him, otherwise we're going to commit suicide. So I was so scared, and these are the people that, like, they were with me, they took care of me since I was a baby till I was grown. So I was so scared of doing anything they hated. And then the Jehovah's Witness organization that I was going in, the elders, they kept pressurizing me. Anywhere, every time during the meeting, you'll see somebody will call me and tell me, why are you not marrying this man? It's good for you. Some of the elders even use the Bible to tell me why I should marry this man. And naive me, I used to believe everything they say is coming from God. So if they say God wants this, God wants that, like, I just will do it. I don't want anything against God. So I fought really hard to not marry who I wasn't interested in marrying. But at the point I was thinking, they probably know more than me. Like, God is using them, my parents as well. They have more experience than me. So why not I just listen to them? And that was the biggest mistake I've ever made in my life, because I agreed. And you can talk of any kind of abuse. This man abused me in the most graphic way you can think of. The one I would like to mention here is when he hit me so badly, stood on my ankle. Till today, my right ankle is dislocated, with nothing can be done about it. I can't stand on it for too long. I can't sit for too long. And all this while I was with him, I couldn't say no. Anytime he's ready to have his way with me, even when I was pregnant and they told me that I'm having threatened abortion and should avoid sex for 2 weeks, he refused and will still force me to do whatever I want at this point. So we started preparing. I tell you that during the wedding, I couldn't even decide the wedding venue, the wedding music, the music we were going to play on the wedding day, the band I was going to play, the person that will make the cake. Everything to the last letter was decided for me. The only thing I was able to decide is that the makeup artist. I was like, even if I can't decide anything, let me decide. I want to have a makeup artist of my own. And I still got bullied. I got a lot of backlash from choosing the makeup artist of my choice. And then during the wedding night, I was still going around kneeling and begging people. Ask, what did I do? When we were preparing for the wedding, I had they tried to get clothes for my parents, because my parents requested for some clothes. And when they got the clothes for my parents, they decided to get them very old clothes. So I told them, I'm not happy with these clothes. Can I return it and get a better clothes for them? And everyone was mad at me. The husband family was like, how dare you decide you want this kind of clothes for your parent? They were so mad at me. So during my wedding night, I had to go on my knees begging them for doing that. And we were in the marriage. The marriage was terrible. You know, the only time I feel happy is whenever I dream that I escaped this marriage. But it was never possible until we moved abroad. And we're in abroad. I was living this same life of abuse. It got to a point I was thinking of ending lives, because it's like I'm going to be in this marriage forever with no help. So I was like, I was on top of a bridge, and I'm telling myself, today I'm just going to jump off. I'm going to jump off, because nobody's going to help me out of this marriage. But then I decided to seek help. I went to a doctor. They started treating me for anxiety and depression, and I was getting better. At this point, if you see my face, I was vague looking. Like, you know when somebody's looking at you and reality is just, they're no longer seeing reality. That was how I was, until the social worker decided to come to our aid and took me and my child away from the abusive situation. Then you think it's over. I had to stay at the refuge for 2 months. While at the refuge, my parents were still busy preparing, finding ways for me to go to this my abusive husband. But I've made up my mind that I'm not going to go through this anymore. I know what I saw living with him. I'm not going to put myself through that again. And what even pained me the most is that I was a Jehovah's Witness, and you would think they would be helpful. But the only help I got from the organization is you have to remain in the marriage. If you feel your life is threatened, you can separate. They got me a sister that was doing the Bible study with me again, and they told me you can separate. I'm in a new country. They don't even ask me what are the resources you have to separate. Nothing. It's the people, the worldly people that came to my rescue and took me out of the abusive situation. And while I was in the refuge, the elders were still looking for means to get me back to this abusive husband. Despite telling them several times, I do not want to go back to him. My life was in danger. That's what the government saw, and that's why they took me out of the situation. They were still looking for ways to get me back with this my abusive husband, because according to them, the Bible said, you have to stay with your husband. You've made a vow to stay with them, your husband, forever and love forever until death do you apart. So if none of you commit adultery, you have to stay with your husband forever, irrespective of whether he's abusing you or not. So it was difficult for me because I truly had I believe this organization. I actually trusted everything they've told me because I believe all their instructions was coming from God. And as they are telling me, it's like God is telling me you have to stay in this abusive relationship. Otherwise, you can separate, but you can never be with anybody else. And I started thinking, why would God want me to stay in an abusive marriage with somebody I was forced to be with in the first place, that treated me so bad, and not want me to find happiness elsewhere? They told me you can't divorce except one of you commit adultery. You have to stay with this man forever. But I've made up my mind. I'd rather remain single than go back to the man that almost ended my life. So it was just roller coaster of emotions. My parents, my siblings, everyone wanting to force me to go back to this man and be with him, irrespective of what I was facing. But I've been getting loads of counseling, and then I know this is not right. This is not right. And despite several times I tell the elders, please do not ask me to go back to this man, because anytime you talk about him, I have panic attack. I have nightmares of me being in that abusive relationship again. And you would think that would be enough for them to stop pressuring me or telling me to make amends and go back to him. They brought letters from him to me. I told them I did not want the letters. They still brought it to my house and was trying to convince me to read letter from him. And I told them, no, I'm not reading this letter, because I know whatever is in there is not going to be good for my mental health. At this moment, I'm struggling with my mental health, and you are still doing this. I tell you, for good 5 weeks after they brought the letter from him, even though I did not collect it, I was having nightmares over nightmares, thinking, my brain tricking me in my dream to think I was back in that abusive relationship. So it's just, that's why I've decided for now I'm not going to attend their meetings or anything that has to do with the JW organization anymore, because I do not believe God will want me to remain with an abusive husband instead of living a happy life with someone that treats me well. And when we talk about marriage vow, it's not just till death do us part. It's like I will love and care for this person. He did not love or care for me. No, he treated me so badly that I almost wanted to kill myself. I felt like at a point, is either his treatment is going to kill me, or I'm not going to be able to bear this bad treatment anymore, and then I will just have to end things. But they weren't listening to me. Do you know who told me? It was a worldly that told me God is a God of love and God would want you to be happy. I will let you know in my next video what really happened that made me believe that this JW organization, with the way they've treated me, is different from how God, the real God, operates. It's sad because it's what I've known since my childhood. It's like they're just stripping you of everything. Now I feel like I have nothing. But I'm glad I'm no longer anxious or depressed, and I feel happy. And that is enough.